So we're sliding into 2025, and we just walked out of 2024. And I'm just going to get down to it. Horrible work here, horrible work in Japan, horrible work from Japan. But this comes as no surprise for the folks for the foreign, well, I can't even say foreigners, for like the overseas folks, especially from America, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, the English-speaking countries. English as your first language countries. This doesn't come as a surprise. So I have an article here from Nippon.com, Japan data, and of course Japan slides further in English proficiency ranking. I don't know how far they can slide down because they're already like rock bottom. So let's take a look at this quick. It says Japan continued its fall in the EF English Proficiency Index in 2024, tumbling 5 places to 92nd among 116 non-English speaking countries and regions. I think what happened here is the fact that it's not that Japan fell. It's more of the case that other countries surpassed Japan. I'll just put it to you like this, man. The English language education here is cruddy. It's just straight cruddy. You know, I can remember the times when, when we were in school. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. We had our language teachers, our French or Spanish, and I'm using that as a measuring stick or a metric, because the teachers came in, they taught us, Spanish or French, and 80% of our class was taught in either French or Spanish, and the teachers would talk to us in their native language. We didn't spend time comparing languages or, stuff like you get here, like there's no English equivalency to this word in Japanese, and Japanese is very hard. This is during an English language class. Or always trying to bend rules, trying to make fit certain grammar points that just don't. You can't bend rules with grammar, but they do it here too. They do it here. So, but anyway, my earliest recollection, I remember Spanish. We just teacher came in speaking Spanish. We had a thick textbook by Berlitz. Well, I think Berlitz was for French, but Berlitz, one of those anyway, Spanish, and we learned it. That was it. Now I'm looking at this graph here, Japan's EF English Proficiency Index ranking. It seemed like every year they fell, but I don't think. I think what's really here is that other countries surpassed Japan. Japan didn't go anywhere. Of course, Japan was falling anyway, but Japan pretty much didn't go anywhere. All the other countries surpassed Japan. And I'm just telling you this from experience, going to Serbia and seeing how they teach English. I mean, people, they teach English the way English is supposed to be taught. You go into class, you teach the kids English. You speak to them in English. 80% of the class is taught in English, and certain parts you have to translate, of course. But here in Japan, it's the complete opposite. They teach 99.99% in Japanese and that 1% in English, and you're not gonna get anywhere with that. You can't teach your second language speaking your language. But anyway, So let me see. Let's go see. So Japan tumbled further in global ranking of English proficiency. A 2024 survey by Swiss international education company EF Education first measuring the English proficiency of people in 116 non-English-speaking countries and regions ranked Japan 92nd overall and 16th among the 23 Asian countries and regions. Japan is the fourth level out of 5 set by the company, equating to low proficiency. Of course, that comes as no surprise. English is a joke here. You know, it's a joke. I just have to be honest. It's just a joke. You know, you get teachers that go overseas for like a year, sometimes 6 months. I mean, you can't master a language or even get acquainted with a language in 6 months, and they come back and get a license and they teach. You know, their license doesn't mean anything outside of Japan. They can't teach anywhere else. You know, I'm not gonna do a deep dive tonight, but I just wanted to scratch the surface here and just look at this. Let me see. The country with the highest English proficiency was the Netherlands, and the majority of the countries classed as having very high. Of course, the Netherlands. I mean, you know, you teach English, you teach it. There's no cultural protectionism or language protectionism, and you know what you get here in Japan. You get a lot of protectionism. What they do is they, by any means necessary to protect the integrity of their culture, it doesn't, even if they're speaking English or teaching English, it has to be filtered through a Japanese filter, which means things have to be understood culturally through a Japanese filter, and you can't, that's not how languages work. You know, they're very proud of their language. You know, when you learn a language, you have to learn the culture. Unfortunately, they get the language without the culture, but they insert their culture into a foreign language, which is English. That doesn't work. And this is what you get the results of here. You know, the kids don't learn phonics. Teachers can't teach phonics. Because Japanese only has about how many sounds? Less than 133 sounds, compared to English has over, I don't know, 200 something sounds or something like that. And they use katakana. They katakanize everything. That's called language protectionism. You know. And this is what you get. You get a low English proficiency level. So there you go. Let me see. Singapore was the highest ranked Asian country in third place, while the Philippines was 22nd. Even the Philippines would do better than Japan. I mean, you know, you teach English. There's no such thing as let's protect our culture, because, you know, by any means necessary, even if it means sacrificing learning. When we're trying to teach English, and we just sacrifice learning English. Let me see. EFL noted that the worldwide level of English proficiency has declined for the fourth year running, with 60% of the countries in the index scoring lower this year than last, and suggested that the downward trend appears to indicate a slackening of interest in developing English proficiency beyond current levels. It also stated that Asia's English proficiency declined more than any other region in the world compared to last year, attributed to mainly the worsening levels in India and in China. I mean, they speak better English than the Japanese. And China, India, they read English. I mean, you know, you've got the English cut India up pretty much, and I mean, they've still got the, you know, traces of colonialism. They've been educated, you know, the English way and stuff. They read English way better than the Japanese. Let me see. So here we go. Who's above? Oh, China. But see, even the Chinese, a lot of the kids in the cities, they start learning English from kindergarten, like actual English, not like what they do here in Japan, where the kids dash around the class saying some weird, I don't know, learning weird stuff like just weird English, man. So let's see, India, Pakistan, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Philippines, even, yeah, let me see, Croatia. But you don't have a lot of, with these countries, China, there's not a lot of cultural protectionism and language protectionism going on. Mongolia, yeah, I've met some cats straight out of Mongolia. They speak pretty decent English, and they read. Indonesia, Sri Lanka, no, those guys speak pretty decent English, and they can read also. India, definitely. Pakistan, Vietnam, they speak way better English than Japan. I mean, but see, the thing is, with these countries, you don't get that language, you don't get that cultural protectionism like you get in Japan. They're not always worried about losing their culture. I mean, I don't know. It's silly, and then you get a lot of the teachers who they miseducating these kids, telling these kids that English doesn't have words, don't have double meanings. And I mean, I've had a teacher approach me saying, unlike Japanese, English doesn't have double meanings. One word doesn't mean many things. I'm like, this guy's an idiot. But this is what happens. That's the university thing also. The Japanese university system is easy. They don't do work. They don't do research. They don't do papers like we do in America. You get 30-page papers, 40-page papers, 50-page research papers. We do a lot of research. So a lot of the time when we when we make an assertion, a lot of the times is researched assertions. When they make assertions here, which I've been in class, and they say stuff like there's no English is this and this, and I'm like, oh God, here we go. I mean, just opinions. And you got to remember, you're educating kids, and they're under this impression that so far English has there's 26 alphabets, fine, but that doesn't go for the let me see, the combination, the vowel, the combination consonants, and then if you were to put the syllabary would be over what, 1 million syllabary or something like that, with the combinations A B A C A D A E A F, all those B E B C B D B F, like that. It would take up a lot of space, So they're under a false impression that only 26 alphabets, but yet they can't sound any of most of our alphabets, either hard R's, U's. They can't do the ah. They don't have an ah in Japanese, but that's this is what you get. This is exactly what you get. Energy in equals energy out. Anyway, I'm not going to do a deep dive tonight, but this is just to bring to your attention that the Japan slides further in English proficiency ranking, and they're not gonna get out of this. I mean, they're gonna be rock. I mean, it goes from worse to rock bottom to like below rock bottom, and there's no way out of this. And they're not gonna do anything to get out of this. It's impossible. So anyway.